And I believe we are on air. Hello, 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 hello. And welcome to the Halloween pop-up special. You're very welcome to the International Podcast. Myself, Steve, as you probably didn't
Hi,
guess,
Steve.
have been dumped into hosting this terrible show tonight. So I will introduce you to Chris Q
How's it going?
and Mr. Jamie Page.
Hello.
How is everybody doing? I believe Rich Ward is joining us a bit later on.
Meow.
He's doing a few Halloween errands, we believe. So how is everybody?
Okay.
How are you guys?
I'm great. I'm actually, you guys, it's already dark where you are. Did you guys have trick-or-treaters out already? Are people knocking at your door asking for candy yet?
No,
Yeah, I just bet up a couple of kids for these.
Did you?
Yeah, I love burger bites.
They always look like this round here.
Well, let me see. It's 10 minutes to 4 in the afternoon for me. So, and there's only 4 hours difference now. So it's 10 minutes to 9 o'clock your time.
10 to 8 because we went back an hour.
Oh, that okay. And you don't have any kids yet, Jamie?
No.
Do they just know better to knock on your door, or what's the deal?
Mainly because there's a sign up saying "Don't come knocking."
Oh, nice.
Jamie did have kids. It just takes him 3 hours to get up to answer the door. So by the time he's there, they've all gone again.
Off, yeah. Yeah, they've walked off. Oh, the crutches are over there.
I used to have an aunt. I used to have an aunt that did that. She would go out and she would buy a whole bunch of Halloween candy to give away. This was when I was a kid. I just remember it because we were living in Rhode Island at the time, and she was in a neighborhood where they would get a ton of trick-or-treaters, and she'd go out and buy Halloween candy, but then she'd turn all the lights in her house off on Halloween, and lock her door. What? I'm like, then my father used to give her, because it was his sister. You go, why the heck do you buy all this candy then? What the hell? She goes, well, I eat it. Somebody, I'm sorry, Aunt Honey, but you're getting the idea wrong here. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's meant to go for the kids.
The best part of Halloween is the fact, as you said before we started the show, Chris, is the fact that you can steal the candy off of the kids after they've done the trick-or-treating and gone out and collected it for you. Yeah, that's it. And that's the only reason why they go out, is to collect it for us. And we're only thinking of their health.
Yes. Here, you little rugrat, take a pillowcase. Don't come back until it's absolutely full, and then, no, you can't have any tonight.
And remember your manners when people give you stuff.
Oh, God.
My little fella, my youngest fella is 5. He went out with his big sister and his slightly older sister and grandchildren, my grandchildren, not theirs. And they went out and they came back after about 10-15 minutes and they said, Dad, can you have a word with Robbie? Because some guy answered the door and he was caught unawares and for some reason didn't realize it was Halloween and said, oh, I don't have anything, I'm sorry. So he reaches into his pocket and he takes out some change and he puts a few cent into each of their bags, and Robbie plucks up and says, I didn't get none. So he reached back into his pocket and dropped it, and off he went, quite happy. But that's my boy.
He was pulling the Charlie Brown of, I got a rock.
Oh God, yeah, the embarrassing things kids do to you.
I'm just wondering, is there an age limit on trick or treating? Because I've got my other half out there now. I'm hungry.
Oh,
No, there's no age limit at all. Just tell her to just when she gets to the door, just to quickly put the shoes, attach them to her knees, and just make it look like she's a lot shorter than she actually is.
Yeah. That's right, just kneel in her shoes.
That's it.
Well,
yeah.
Trick or treat, mister.
If you get a 50-year-old guy by himself knocking on your door and he goes, "Hey, happy Halloween," you may just want to shut the door
and sees Jamie's girlfriend on her knees in front of him. He's going to start wondering what the hell he's going to think all his Halloweens have come.
you may want to shut the door and lock it for the night.
We love you, Vicky.
So no, there's no age limit, but there's like caution that probably should be employed. As you open. Wow, dude, really? Okay, good night. Bye-bye. Turn the lights off. Lock the door.
Yeah, if the person opens the door with a shotgun or a knife in their hand, you've probably pushed it a bit too far.
All right, let's get ourselves in trouble. The Halloween, and I take it when you were kids, Jamie, Steve, you all went out when you were little toddlers and did your own trick-or-treating thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now
and some extra bits too.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Because we all know that you did the treat thing, but did you ever get into doing a few of the tricks things on Halloween? And if so, what did you guys get up to? Because I got a few stories I could tell.
Oh yeah, I was well known in my estate for coming up with the ultimate Halloween prank. And what we used to do is we used to have little Halloween stickers that we used to get every year. And we'd go along, we'd do our trick-or-treating, and those that didn't give us anything used to get a sticker on their door. Okay, just a little tiny sticker on their door. And this was for reference for later on when we came back. So we put the little sticker on the door, and off we went, right down. And our street was a big, long road that connected two main roads. So, and houses both sides of the road. So we get to the farther end of the road, and then we'd turn round and Steve would take his roll of big spool of cotton that his granny used to have because she was a seamstress. And it was they were like a big triangular shaped spool of cotton. And you'd walk up to the first house with a little sticker and you'd tie the string onto their door knocker, and then you'd run across the road and you'd zigzag across all the way down the road for as long as you could get before a car came. And then when a car came down the road, all the door knockers went all the way down the road.
Hey, you've got 8 neighbors running out in the front yard going, what the hell?
And they all come out shouting at each other, and we're hiding down behind a wall, dying with laughter, high on candy that the generous ones gave us.
Oh, that's awesome.
There was nothing as genius as that.
That's pretty freaking genius.
There was more simpler things like flour, eggs. I think one of the most genius ones was probably the cling film or saran wrap around their said car or something like that. Just wrap it right the way around. That was probably the most genius thing I ever did.
Well, you guys were destructive. I see. Well, except for one incident with that. Well, maybe I'll tell you. No, we were big, bars of soap guys. If you didn't have treats for us, and then yeah. Well, wait, no,
I get nervous when guys mention bars of soap.
Why we didn't bend over to pick them up, Steve. Don't worry about it. No, we would like soap people's car windows, and we used to carry toilet paper in our, because we used to go trick-or-treating with pillowcases, and the first thing that went into the pillowcase before we left for the evening was a roll of toilet paper, because if people didn't give us candy, we TP'd their house. That was just they woke up the next morning with toilet paper all over the place. But I think it was the last year I went Halloween trick-or-treating with my friends, and I was an adolescent. I was 13, 14 years old, I think, at the time. We had this one neighbor that we just knew was a complete a-hole, and he would not have any candy for any of the kids. And we watched all these little kids go up and knock on his door, and he just would turn them all away, going, "I ain't got nothing for you. Get off my lawn." One of those grumpy old guys. So what we did is we grabbed my father's lug wrench from the back of his car, and we went over to his house. And you have to understand how this works, because his driveway was on one side of his building, on one side of his house, and his front door was on the other. So we always had to walk out the front door towards the driver's side, and he would just jump in his car and take off in the morning. So what we did is we went on the other side of his car, brought 2 cinder blocks with us and took the wheels off his car on the right hand side of his car. And the next morning, I had actually wanted to see him do this, but he apparently got into his car, put it in reverse, and we saw him on the driveway sitting on his brake discs. So yeah.
Well, it probably would have spun too, because
it did.
If with one wheel on, it would have just
rear wheel drive car, and it's like, well, okay. So that's the worst I ever did, and I think the statute of limitations has run out on me getting in trouble for that. But that's about the worst thing I ever did.
Well, in the UK, when I was a child as well, that fireworks were legal. You're allowed to have fireworks. Obviously, not at the age of 12 or whatever I was when I had them. But we used to also get fireworks. I don't know if you get them there, Chris, but they're called bangers here.
Oh yeah,
and they're just a long, slim firework that just makes an enormous bang. But like any explosive, if you put it into something and seal it, it makes that explosive that little bit more powerful.
Oh yeah, confined.
Yeah. So we were all drinking cans of Coke, and we used to just drop the bangers into the empty cans, and put them outside people's front doors, and just blow the front door to pieces, basically. So that was good fun too.
I've actually got a funny firework story. Now, one of my uncles actually owns a firework company, right?
Oh, right.
And so we was able to get access to quite some powerful fireworks when it comes to firework night and things like that. And we used to have firework nights like in our back gardens with said such very powerful fireworks. And this one particular night, we was down one of my uncle's house, and we had these really big cake boxes of, say, 10,000 shots in one cake box. And there was some like quite big, massive rockets. You go to the store and you get like a selection pack, if you like. Well, my uncle used to do big selection packs of powerful rockets and little cake boxes that are still quite big, that he would use on the beach and things like that for big displays. Well, we coming to the end of the night, we had a couple of these boxes. Everyone's had a few to drink. They've done what they thought was the fireworks. So they're still drinking and letting off the fireworks and all this sort of stuff. Well, my Uncle Dave, right, thought all the fireworks were gone, picked up this box and threw it on the barbecue.
Oh,
right. Well, all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang.
Oh, Lord.
Problem.
Yeah. You could say that. And then on one of them, I think it said you had to be something like 50 meters away when setting at least. And all the kids start standing there, and they're at least 10 meters away.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
So, yeah,
duck.
Yeah, quite a catastrophe.
Wow,
whatever it is.
Yeah, what about Halloween parties? Did you go to any Halloween parties when you were kids?
Yeah, plenty. Years and years ago, there used to be a pub near me called the Crown and Thistle. And there was always a massive bonfire there that, I don't know, it must be something in my family genes or something that loves bonfires and fires of some sort, because my dad used to be one of the ones that used to do this fire. And there used to be this, I don't know if you used to do this even, a penny for the guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that, Chris? Basically, you get kids and they make what's called a guy, Guy Fawkes.
Oh, I know all about Guy Fawkes. That's actually where one of the original. See, I know a little bit about Halloween trivia, and Guy Fawkes Day is actually a big part of how Halloween got started.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. Basically, what you do is you get some old clothes or whatever, and like tie the wrists up and tie the bottoms of the legs up, and then you fill it all with newspaper and all this sort, just to pack it all out, and then you'd sew it all together, and you'd make a head of tissue or whatever to make it look like a human,
to look like your teacher at the time,
or whatever you wanted it to look like. And then you'd go and sit outside a supermarket or whatever. You'd take it around in a stroller or a pram or whatever, and you just keep saying penny for the guy. And that's one way another way of a similar trick or treat, I guess, if you like. But people will give you money instead of candy.
So it's kind of the old school Patreon.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And at the end of like the night when it was bonfire night, then people would take their guys and then put them on the big fire and basically burn Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, I remember this. It wasn't Guy Fawkes was actually drawn and quartered. Look at Richard. Oh my God.
What's up, Richard?
Hi, Richard.
How are you?
Got my costume on.
Meow. That's just, we're doing that because Richard had cat duty.
I've warned you. I've warned you in the chat about that. Anyway, back to Guy Fawkes.
We're not going to say any more about that.
Even though it's Halloween.
So you heard our little bit about Guy Fawkes. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Mr. Morley?
Well, Guy Fawkes was a very, very, very bad man.
Yeah, he was actually drawn and quartered in, wasn't he, in London?
Some might say he was a bit of a hero.
Yeah, I wish he had succeeded in sometimes.
Yeah.
Blowing up Parliament.
Oh, jeez.
But we'll save that for another show, JP.
Yeah, let me Google it. Get back to the conversation. I'll Google it.
Jamie's next trick-or-treater is going to be MI5 knocking on the door going, hey, Mr. Page. We want to have a conversation with you, sir, if you don't mind.
What about we were saying at the beginning, I don't know if you listened, whether you heard it, Richard. We were saying about the tricks that we used to get up to as kids. Did you have any particular tricks that you enjoyed when you were younger?
If you didn't get treats.
Yeah.
Well, we never did growing up. We never did trick or treating or anything like that. So no, not really.
Okay.
We didn't do fireworks either, actually, as I remember.
Okay. Was there any particular reason for that, or just?
I think growing up, my dad and my mum weren't overly kind of keen on us being around fireworks because obviously they're like
they were sensible.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty much. I mean, basically, instead of going to a fireworks show, it's going to sound really dull, and I feel like I'm going to bring the kind of the theme down for want of a better phrase. But no, we never used to go to fireworks shows, and we never had fireworks in the garden. But we'd always get like an extra present in lieu of going and having fireworks, which kind of made sense actually, because you spend money on fireworks and they go bang and you go ooh, and there's the money down the drain. Whereas we'd get something that we kept.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of, no pun intended, but I think that backfired in the long term, because as I got older and more,
you joined the military and you made up for it.
Yeah, kind of. That's
Oh, well, in that case, there has got to be a military few tricks that you got up to back in the day now, Richard. Come on. Spill the beans.
No, Richard. No. I think Richard is probably the goody two shoes of the lot, so he probably didn't do too much.
Probably not.
Not really. There was. I never did it personally, but I have seen it done and heard sort of many third party. We used to have these things called thunder flashes, and they were like pretend grenades. And they're basically, at the time, they were like a giant banger that you'd get at things. They're about 8 inches long, maybe an inch in diameter, and 4 inches. It was just rolled up tight cardboard.
Okay.
So half of it was just, you could use the other hand, the other end had something that went bang in it. And if you got the boiled sweets from the ration packs, they fitted perfectly in the end of the handle. So you could pack these things full of like boiled sweets, light the fuse, throw it, and when it went bang, it sent like pieces of sugary joy.
At last.
No, although I never did that. That was one of the things that used to happen occasionally. And also, if you
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Also, if you cut the handle off it, I'm told that if you then poured a kilogram bag of self-raising flour into a clear plastic bag, put the end of the kind of the bang end of the thunder flash in the top of the bag and tied it up with string, and then lit the fuse and then threw it, when it went off, it was just basically a cloud of flour. And there were stories of people in buildings and rooms where these things happened, and they used to come out looking like the McDougal's flour man, because everything just got covered in this white fine powder.
Oh, I got to get me some of them for next Halloween.
Well, they stopped. They basically stopped making them and stopped using them and issuing them because they were deemed to be too dangerous. So,
well, they're an explosive too. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to pick an argument with Wayne right now, because Wayne, listen to me, my friend. Guy Fawkes Day definitely did have something to do with the evolution of Halloween, my friend. I'm sorry, it did. If you look back in your history, the way Guy Fawkes Day was celebrated when it was first celebrated had a lot to do with the trick part of trick-or-treating. And that just got incorporated because of the timeline of the event and where it actually ended up being. So I'm not saying it was the originator, because I think Halloween actually started with the Celts.
Well, it's All Hallows Eve.
It started with
Halloween.
The Celts,
was originally was mounds of fire that were put up on hills around the country, I suppose, or wherever,
right?
To warden off witches, was it not?
Yeah,
I believe bonfires. So the bonfire is to do with Halloween, definitely, because I know here in Ireland. Mm-hmm. Over Halloween, there's only 2 times a year we're allowed to have open fires on our properties.
And one is Halloween.
Yeah.
Right. So, Wayne, you're absolutely right. I mean, it didn't have anything to do with the origination of Halloween, but the Guy Fawkes celebration was incorporated into what we now know as the Halloween celebration as far as trick-or-treating. Because, I mean, if you do any research on this and if you look into it, Halloween, the way we celebrate it today, is less than 100 years old. I think it actually started back in the 1920s, is the way, going door to door and asking for treats and things of that nature. I don't think that the way we do it today, I mean, there were different versions that happened hundreds of years ago, but the way we do Halloween today is not that old. Yeah, I'm just saying, Dave. I'm just saying, Wayne.
Yeah. Wayne. So basically, Chris is saying, bring it, Wayne.
Bring it, Wayne.
I would just like to say this before we carry on. It's also a very special day for someone else today, and that's Tracy Keaton. It's her birthday today, so very happy birthday, Tracy.
And you know who else's birthday it is today? I believe it's the sexiest man on the planet, Mr. Tony. Mr. Oh, that was yesterday. Okay, well, happy belated.
Oh, no, it is today. Sorry.
It is today. It's Tony Relou's birthday today.
Oh, right. Okay.
Tony was born on Halloween. Happy birthday, Tony.
Yeah, happy birthday, Tony.
So cheers, man. All right, so Halloween creepiness, scary stuff. What do you guys remember? Did you guys watch any? And I don't know, because obviously I don't live in the UK or Ireland. Did you guys ever have like television back? When you were younger, that on Halloween evening there would be a TV station or something that would carry old scary horror movies or anything? I mean, what kind of horror movies were you guys into when you were kids? Because I'll be honest with you, back in the 70s, when I was a kid in that era, the most popular films, at least within my family, were the films that were put out by Hammer Studios. Which, if you guys remember, Hammer Studios is actually a UK, is actually an English film company, and they had the Peter Cushing, the Christopher Lee, a lot of the Vincent Price, the Draculas, the movies, things of that nature. Do you guys watch any of that stuff?
Not when we were really young. I mean, as we got older, I mean, Jesus, when I was young, the Muppets scared the shit out of me. So,
well, the Wicked Witch and the Wizard of Oz used to keep me awake at night. So yeah, I'm with
you. But yeah, later on we'd watch them. Yeah. And what was the other things? I can only remember the theme music. It went da 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 da. They were kind of spooky, supernaturally early day supernatural kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. What was his name? He was a anyway, it'll come to me. But
somebody on the chat will know and tell us.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, all the classics, as they're saying there, Psycho and Halloween and all that, you know, that was all my kind of thing later on. But Chucky was a scary damn movie, I tell you.
No, you know what? There's only one movie that and Jamie and Richard, I want to hear what you guys have to say here too, but I'll get this in real quick. There's only one movie I've ever been to where I went into a movie theater and sat down and got properly scared out of my pants. And that movie was The Exorcist. That movie scared the living out of me. I had nightmares after that movie for like a week and a half. Easy. That was the scariest movie I ever saw. I mean, I watch it today and I go, okay, not so scary. But when I was, you know, like 13 or 14 years old when that thing came out, oh boy, that'll make you think.
I've always been kind of with movies, more the realistic stuff that they play on always freaks me out and scares me, rather than the boo kind of stuff and the stuff, you know. But the stuff like if someone gets a knife and is about to run it across the, you know, something that you could actually feel, or you know that what that would feel like if it actually happened, or
so
mirror
like
scene. There's always that mirror
movies.
Scene.
Yeah, the Halloween movies would probably be your thing. What about you, Jamie, Richard?
I'm not really one for horror films, but I mean, there was always things like Scream and Silence of the Lambs, like, and like Steve said, Chucky and things like that.
I know what like, you did last summer.
Nightmare on Elm Street and all that sort of stuff, you know. There were a few classics that I did enjoy.
I can remember watching. I think it was the dude with the hands, Freddy Krueger. Those films.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's the one I watched one of them. I think when I was 12 or 13, maybe even younger, and it just bored me. It didn't scare me at all. I just found it dull and boring, and I had no interest in it. And because I wasn't really paying attention, it wasn't scary. It was just this crap film. And I think, or rather, I don't think I've ever been interested or into a scary movie like the Scream films with the, you know, that kind of iconic ghosty facey thing and the knife. That I just find them dull and boring.
They were a bit ridiculous, the Scream ones, but there was more of a comedic side to those anyway, wasn't there? I think.
Oh, I think so. Once you got to a certain age, there. I mean, and you looked at that and went, "Okay, that's just funny." But I mean, when you were young and you didn't know, and you got sucked up into the film, they got a little scary.
I love all the Saw movies and stuff like that. I just love all that gory stuff. The Saw and Hostel. I love all that kind of
Hostel.
stuff.
Hostel was a good movie. Did you guys? Jamie, Richard? Did you guys watch Hostel?
I've seen Hostel. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good flick. If you like spooky flicks, that's a good one. That's a good one.
See, that was one I was going to mention actually, because I watched that in what was that, 2007, 6, 7, something like that. Watched it around a mate's house in Gloucester, and again, it just bored me. It was a Saturday afternoon. We put this film on, no interest in it whatsoever.
Wow.
It's just me. I just have no interest in.
That's fine. I happen to love horror films, and you know what, Wayne? Okay, I love you again. By the way, Steve, the person we were talking to figure out that song, Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock. So Wayne, thank you. You are now back in my good graces.
I'll tell you what scares me at the moment with like up to date shows and things like that, and that's things like Britain's Got Talent and all that sort of stuff. Wouldn't catch me watching that.
Well, that's pretty scary. I tell you what's even scarier. When my final years when my final years my final years in broadcasting, I was a 40-year-old guy going into work, and I had to introduce Britney Spears. That's pretty freaking scary. I don't mind telling you.
Hit me, baby, one more time. Oh, bang, 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 bang.
And it was my job to make it sound like the best thing ever. Man, I'm telling you.
Hold on. When was that, Chris? What year would that have been?
That would have been 2003, 2004.
So that was in the middle of freak out years, was it?
Oh yeah, well that was oops, I did it again time, I think. And I had
so she was that the shaved head and all that time?
No. That was before all that nonsense went on. I mean, she was just
that was like 90s.
Cute teeny bopper that I had to sell the audience, and like, oh boy, and here's the latest from Britney Spears, and oops, I did it again. On B103.9. It's like, oh, shoot me now. I need to retire.
Oh shit, there goes the show.
Hey, Sterling.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween,
What's up,
Mr.
Sterling?
Davis.
Happy Halloween, buddy.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, not bad.
Good.
Not too bad.
You're very welcome.
What have you got on your head, Richard?
Richard,
It's a witch's hat with a bat on the top.
obviously.
Obviously.
Yep.
Jeez, Sterling, show up.
Kat was actually explaining this to me earlier. This apparently she was ordered to wear when she locumed in an optician's in a Tesco's about 10 years ago, and she kept it.
Oh, you
That's
don't
how old
have to take
this
it
is.
off on my account.
So that means I've got to put it back on now, does it?
Yeah.
The dog was wearing it earlier.
Listen, I've got on my costume.
I was going to say, you're scary enough without all the apparel.
Yeah.
Hey, Sterling, Scrollsaurus just scare Richard anyway.
I'm pretending to be a woodworker, so I'm good.
You're looking good, by the way. I don't mind telling you.
I'm waiting for Scooby-Doo and Shaggy to come in and just rip his mask off. Hello, Shaggy.
If it wasn't for you meddling kids.
That was actually really good, Jamie.
That was good.
What's that? Hello, Shaggy. Sterling, how do you guys celebrate Halloween? What are you doing this evening? Are you doing anything special, or just kind of hanging out, eating dinner, and then handing out to kids if they knock on the door? I mean, you got anything planned?
We'll have a few trick-or-treaters come by, but nothing really planned now. My kids are grown. They're doing their own little thing. And you was talking about earlier what you used to do or how it came about. I never was allowed to go trick-or-treating because my mom thought it was of the devil. So I never was raised to go trick-or-treating. But it didn't affect me. It didn't. Once I was grown and had my own kids, I let them celebrate within it. We took them trick-or-treating and done the all, fall festivals and all the, little things that went along with it. So, it was fun. It's a fun time. It's right now it's just me and my wife though. So we're just going to chill at the house and hanging out with y'all a little bit. I've got a premiere coming out tonight, so I'm looking forward to that.
Tell us about that.
Looking forward to it. I am very much looking forward to it.
Promote yourself, Sterling. Tell us about your premiere this evening. When is it, and what is it about?
Well, it's basically, I think I titled it "All Things Scroll Sawing" for Richard and more. But basically, it's basically YouTube has just started this new thing called premieres, which basically you can schedule your video to release. At the same time, you get a live chat and can interact with people as they watch. I've seen a couple people do it. I said, hey, that's pretty neat. I'll try it. So I've got a video coming out at 7:00 tonight, Eastern time. It's the top 5 questions I have about scroll sawing. And I'm actually fixing a part on the scroll saw showing greets and about scroll sawing, basically.
So, and that's kind of Steve. You did one of those, didn't you? Nope, sorry. Steve's in the middle of chewing something. He wasn't expecting me to ask him questions. I'll let him swallow. Sterling, but that's got to be kind of good.
Sorry, I was eating pizza that my daughter kindly brought me in there.
I just kind of felt awkward about letting you swallow. Anyway,
hey, I'm good with it if you are, Chris.
I'm not. I am not good with that. But okay, let me get back to Sterling and ignore you for a second. Sterling, then that kind of has to be. I mean, I don't know. Is this the first time you've done one, Steve? I mean, Sterling.
As far as something like this, it is, and basically all I'm doing. I get questions today on videos I've done 3 and 4 years ago.
Oh, me too.
Scroll saw
all the time.
So, and I'm fine with that, but I've never really done one. I'll answer the person's question on the comment, but I've never really done like a question video on how, you know, with a multitude of questions. So yeah, it's going to be a new kind of thing. It's a little bit longer, and it's going to be for my new audience. Everybody's not going to watch it because everybody don't scroll saw. Richard, I get that. But
no, Richard does. Richard does. He just doesn't ever let anybody know he does. That's all. So don't worry about it.
No, but I think for the beginner scroll saw, it's a good video. If you got, you know, ask questions about scroll saws, and I don't want to give the whole thing away, but
no, but
it's some good questioning.
My point simply was that if you're going to do a how-to video, then the premieres is kind of cool, because then as they are watching it, you are watching it, and so you can answer questions automatically that somebody might have. Absolutely. And so as far as a how-to video, that has to work really well. Okay, and Steve, I'll throw it back to you. You've done a premiere. Didn't you do a premiere once?
Yeah, I've done a couple of premieres now. They are really cool. I've been doing most of my videos, as Richard was, until he got incredibly busy like myself. We were doing live shows, which is all about interacting anyway. And I prefer that because there's not all that editing. But I had a couple of videos that were almost complete that I just didn't get time to go back to. And while I was not doing lives, I decided to finish them off and put them up on my channel. And just as I did that, this premiere thing came into action. So I just decided to throw it up. And yeah, it's really cool to watch it for the first time and get the initial reactions from the folks that normally watch your videos without you around. You know, it's a very strange thing. But I'm also going to use it now and rehash the way I do my game show now on Fridays, because I'm going to now be able to pre-record the shows,
right,
and then show them and be able to interact with the audience. And it's not going to matter that they're giving the answers and things now, which was kind of a bit of a hard thing to control during the game show. So now I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to be able to pre-record at a time that suits the guys across the pond, and then put it up at a scheduled time and do it as a premiere and interact. And the guys that are in the show can also be there during the premiere, and we can all have good fun watching the show. So it's going to be really helpful.
Steve, do you find you get better?
Go ahead, Richard. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask Steve, do you find you get better viewer retention during the premiere?
It gives your video a boost. It gave my videos a much more of a boost and interaction, and more people kind of were talking about it and sharing it. And I got those two videos were the first two videos in a long time that I actually got a lot of comments on it. Before, I was putting videos up, they were watching it, I was getting a like, and I was getting the usual people that are quite close to me through social media would comment. But other than that, you wouldn't really get anything. But it seems to do something with, because it's new, I think YouTube are pushing it. So I think what I think they're doing is, when you do a premiere, they're pushing your video more than they normally would than when you just put it up, because I was getting a lot more views, I got more subscribers, and yeah, so it did seem to help a lot.
Let me ask a stupid question, Steve. With the premieres, because it's basically the premiere, the chat, everything is going on while the video is playing. When the video is over, does the chat over? So the chat doesn't continue? The chat is ended right there, and anything beyond that actually happens on the video the way it normally would. Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is, as soon as you hit schedule, because you set it up as a scheduled show. Right. When you're uploading your video, you get a choice, and you set it up as a scheduled show. And when it comes up as schedule, it gives you a little button that you can click to say make it a premiere. And as soon as you say make it a premiere, and you've filled out all your description and all that, as soon as you click make live, that's when the chat becomes live.
Gotcha.
It's live instantly, right up until the video plays. 2 minutes before the video is about to play, a YouTube their own formatted countdown, 2-minute countdown will come up, and a piece of music, and it will start counting down 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then your movie will start playing, and you're interacting and all that. And then for, I think it's about 5 minutes, the chat stays live after the video finishes, and then that's it. It finishes and it's done.
Okay. So Sterling,
and then it just stays up there as a regular upload then. But all the time that it's running, it says Premiere at the bottom. Yeah.
Okay. So Sterling, plan on sticking around for like 5 minutes after the video is over, because people may still have more questions. All right, cool. I was wondering about that, because I thought that when the video was over, all of a sudden the chat was immediately cut off, and that would kind of stunk, because if people had questions that you wanted to answer, that would be kind of a drag. But cool. So if it carries on, that's good.
Yeah, one thing I thought was neat about it, I saw Pat Lapp, he done one, and it was on the little stool he done with the X-Carve CNC thing. But the interaction portion, watching this video with all the different people that was in there, that was really a neat thing. And that's that kind of got me thinking about a question and answers. You know, this would be a good time to do that and just see how it works, play with it, you know, see what happens. So.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that the Premiere is going to help do as well is for those people that do slightly longer videos, it's going to help to retain the audience throughout the video, because you're going to be there to talk through it and explain stuff, right? So normally when there's a long video, if it's a really long part and there's something that you know how to do it, you tend to skip through and go to the bit that, you know, and you know, with really long kind of 3/4 of an hour videos or half-hour videos, it's known that people skip. I mean, we see it all on our analytics that people are skipping our videos, the longer videos. But at least with that, for the first viewing, you're going to have everybody watching, commenting, and it's going to keep your watch rate up as well, because your video is going to show to all those people for that solid duration without people being, they can't fast forward through it. That's the thing. They have to watch it along with everybody else.
I just hope somebody shows up at 7 o'clock. That's all I care about. I'm gonna be sitting there by myself.
Hey, there'll be at least 1, 2, 3, 4 of us.
Barring Richard.
I'll be there, yeah.
I find it highly offensive that you all think that I don't, because I'm not a big scroll saw, and that's fine. But I do scroll saw, and actually I find it quite
Cat be there.
Yeah, she might be appropriate that it's Halloween and we're talking about scroll sawing, because I have here,
which is perfect for you,
a Halloween scroll saw project that I did a long time ago, admittedly, but it's my Halloween Mickey. It's a scroll project.
Oh, I've always wanted to see your Mickey, Richard.
I've got your Halloween
wanted to see your Mickey.
Me downstairs.
That's about my extent of scroll sawing. Anything bigger than that or more complicated, and I get really bored.
I happen to know for a fact that you've got a much better scroll saw project than that in your house that Kat did.
Where's Kat's one?
What? Well, don't leave everybody hanging, Steve. What did Kat do?
Kat did some pumpkin tea lights, did she not? Like a tea light holder. It was.
Kat, if you're listening to this live, come bring them through. We'll show them.
It was flipping awesome. I hope Kat can show you it, because it was absolutely brilliant. And I got to give her some tips on some highlighting tricks to make it pop.
Yeah, because she actually did that in one of my live weekend workshop takeover things.
Well, it was her live. You were just a guest.
Steve, you scared me, because I thought you were going to say I got the opportunity to give her some scroll sawing tips. I was like, wait, Steve, no, come on.
Hashtag Team Scroll Turner.
And Jamie says, I could do that. I could do that on a scroll saw.
Yeah.
It was funny because earlier in the week, Richard posted, Richard was working on some, apparently some raised panel doors. And he posted it in our chat that we have throughout the week, where we just kind of, chat with each other. And he says, do that on a scroll saw. And I said, $100 says Jamie will come on and go, I can do that. And it wasn't 2 minutes later, and Jamie's going, I think I could.
And the funny thing is, I would think he probably could.
Well, I will not discount the man. But I don't know, Sterling, you want to try to do raised panel doors on a scroll saw, or is that something you think a better? There's another tool for.
I think you could. If the wood's thin enough and you make multiple cuts at different angles,
my table tilts 35 degrees, so we can make a run at it.
Oh man,
do it! But you've got to.
There's a challenge if ever I've heard one.
You've got to do proper profile scribe joints on the rails of style. So anything less than that's cheating.
I'll use a spiral blade.
Well, Richard, they can only do it for the up and down of the blade. So I mean, you may end up with a panel about this big. but you know what? They didn't
say the size of the door, did you?
Never said what size of the door. It could be a mouse door. It could be...
I remember challenging somebody one night that they couldn't turn a banana on a blade, and by God, they did it. And I turned around and I had to make a banana on a scroll saw. So,
yes, you did.
There you go.
But that, I think, is how these, because we kind of got to the point where there are less and less new things, because as time goes by, people do them, and it kind of crosses them off the list of things that you could do. That
and they're done that, yeah.
And by people constantly challenging, because ordinarily you wouldn't do a raised panel door on a scroll saw, would you? There's no way on earth you'd bother. But the fact that somebody would then, challenge you to do it gets you thinking down the line. It's a bit like the cabriole legs and the kind of claw.
The ball and claw foot,
cuts
right.
on that's no different to the reindeer that people do at Christmas on a bandsaw. It's the same print, a different shape, and that's how I think that the ideas, things evolve or continue to evolve, and otherwise they probably would get a bit stagnant. So that's a good thing.
Well, which was kind of cool because our good friend, I believe, and everybody that's here right now is aware of it. Our friend Izzy Swan offered up a challenge to the scrollers that's going to happen in a couple weeks in December.
Oh, really?
Oh, Izzy wants to challenge some scrollers. And he says, I may just break out my scroll saw. Who wants to get involved in this challenge? And I'm thinking, okay, Jamie automatically. Okay, then I start thinking about it, and I'm going, well, hell, Sterling Davis, Mike Murray. I mean, there are Justin Christensen. There are a ton of really talented scrollers out there. And then I started, but wait a minute, guys, I'm gonna give you.
Wait! You said talented scroll saws and Justin Christensen in the same context.
Well, okay. Well, let's be honest.
Oh no, you didn't.
Justin, he also said Jamie Page as well. So
Justin is very talented at staining wood. Okay, let's just put it that way. Justin's gonna hate me for saying that. I'm sorry, man. But I started thinking about this. Sterling, Jamie, if you guys are gonna get involved with this, Izzy's not gonna sit down and scroll out a portrait. You got to understand, Izzy is going to scroll out something that freaking moves, and whether it's drill powered or not, I don't know. But I'm just telling you, you may need to change your game if you're going to go against Izzy Swan on a scroll saw, because I think he's got something else besides the queen in mind there, Jamie.
I don't think he would have put out the challenge if he didn't have saying up. Well, that's up his sleeve, but he cuts off his sleeves.
Yeah. He's gonna scroll saw a scroll saw. That's what he's going to do.
Oh, probably. I mean,
he's probably going to make a scroll saw.
He's going to scroll saw a working scroll saw.
It doesn't take a lot of brains to put the guy together. Izzy Swan on a scroll saw. It's not going to be a portrait, boys. This is going to have moving parts to it. I guarantee it. So I wish you luck if you get involved.
I'd love to see somebody scroll saw a working clock.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Not even like a really complicated movement, just just so it moved like a clock. You wouldn't even have to keep time particularly well. Just that would be awesome.
Just the gears on it so that it would click. One.
There you go, Sterling.
There you go. I love it.
And then you've got to put it in a grandfather case with a raised panel door.
I've got some nice patterns.
Is getting the design. Putting the design together would be the problem. Cutting it out would be the easy part.
I've got some nice patterns.
Well, I wish you luck, because I guarantee you that man already has a plan in his head before he even put that challenge out there. He already knows what he's doing. So,
oh yeah, his mind's always working.
Oh yeah, he probably was awake last night going, Okay, I'm going to do that. And then he put it out this morning. So good luck.
Yeah.
If you guys want to get involved, go for it. And I don't think that Izzy is probably known for being the actual best scroll saw artist, but I bet you from his engineering side, the way he puts things together, it's going to be cool, whatever it is.
Yeah, without doubt.
I've just been handed Cat's pumpkin thing. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that it's orange?
Oh, it's awesome.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
I think that was probably Cat's first project. She stained the pumpkins. Was it you that said to scorch it, Steve? It was, wasn't it?
Well, I'm not one to boast or anything, but yes, it was.
Yeah, well, I thought if I mentioned it, then you'd say it. Otherwise, you'd just say it anyway. So.
No, that came out really. I actually watched that live show, and she did a really good job. And she did it like she did the whole thing in like a couple of hours, didn't she?
Yeah, it's not. It didn't take anywhere near as long as it looks, but where it sits on the log burner in the sort of the dark behind it in the setting with the candles on, it looks absolutely amazing. So, yeah,
very cool.
Awesome.
Although I have the tendency of leaving it on the log burner and then lighting the fire and forget.
Oops.
Yeah, it's a little bit scorched on the bottom.
It was scorched anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And all the candles melt before you even light them.
Yeah, I make tea light snowmen, and I forgot how many people, like, every year when that snowman video picks up pace again at Christmas time, I get the same comments. You shouldn't put a live tea light on a wooden ornament. It's going to burn. No, it's not. Hashtag just saying. I purposely lit one and left it alight until it burnt right down, and those wicks fizzle out and go out before any heat transfers to the wood.
And they're within its own little tin cup.
Exactly. Too. Yeah. Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing some kids at my door, even though, you know what? I get no trick-or-treaters in my area. None. Never have. I mean, I think when my son was little, we might have had 1 or 2 knocks on the door a night for a year, maybe 2 years, and then I'd get nothing. Because I live in an area where the houses are so far apart, and the kids today are smart enough to go, it's just not economical for me to go walk from front door to front door, because I'll do that and spend an hour and get 4 pieces of candy. So they all go to all the businesses in the downtown area here in New England. They do a trick-or-treating thing, so all the kids go downtown and get a ton of candy there. So I don't get any kids, but
God, it would take them an hour to walk the length of your property.
No, well, but not my shop. But not my shop, by the way. I don't want to tell them. And hey, you know what? Can I do a shout out? And Jamie, I'm going to give the shout out to you and the small, the YouTubers, small workshop people. They let me in their group, and you know why they let me in their group? Because I had to answer. I had to answer questions. They go, "How big is your shop?" I go, "It's smaller than Richard Morley's." I'm just saying. And within a second, I was in the group. Yay!
I'm an admin. I can boot you out.
Well, Jamie, I just got in. I mean, give me a few.
Am I allowed to join that group, even though that my workshop's a house?
No.
It's a small house, though.
Is it smaller than Richard Morley's shop? Because if it's smaller than Richard Morley's, I've just given you the key to the golden door. You just go, it's smaller than Richard's. Just saying.
No, it probably isn't, actually. And mine has lights as well.
Oh. Okay. Well, sorry, Steve.
I reckon when you come over next year, Chris, you might have to take a trip down to where my other workshop is, and you'll actually see where I'm coming from when I say it's not
I'm sure.
a workshop.
Well, and at some point in time, before that happens, it would be nice if you came over here and saw mine, because that way maybe you would adjust your talk about this.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
My shop, I guarantee you what, my shop is probably close to, if not the exact size as Sterling Davis's shop. And Sterling, do you have a big shop?
2-car garage.
Yep, that's mine.
Yeah,
that's my shop. So
It's not that big. It's pretty full. I got everything pretty much compacted, and everything's on casters, so I can move one thing to work on something else. And so yeah,
bingo. Yep. All right. So Richard, happy Halloween, dude.
Absolutely.
Oh dear.
So what time did you guys start? Because obviously I rocked up a bit late. So what time did you guys start? Do you know? Can you remember?
About an hour.
About an hour ago.
About an hour ago, yeah.
An hour.
About an hour.
Fair enough. An hour. Ooh,
about an hour.
And I'm out of pizza, so it must be almost time to knock it on the head.
Well, then we should knock it on the head. Richard, if you want to say goodnight, we can say goodnight and wish everybody a happy holiday. Burger. Steve has said no.
I still have burger bites, though.
Steve has burger bites he wants to get to. I have no idea what those are, but I got to be honest with you. As a candy coming out of a bag, burger bites don't sound friggin' delicious.
No, you see, that's the difference between the UK and America is that you don't just get candy over here for trick or treat. You get chips, and you get fruit, and you get sometimes you get what's that called? Can't remember. I can't remember. It's gone out my head. Yeah, sometimes you get beaten up. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Or you're in Ireland, so maybe you give out beer. Here, have a shot. Have some Guinness, kid. There you go.
Oh, I forget what it's called, but it's the crackling, is it? Not crackling. The
pork scratchings.
Yeah, kind of scratching type.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pork scratchings. Yeah,
pork
you get that here in Ireland. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad I trick or treated here in the U.S. because that sounded really freaking boring. Anyway,
it's been fun though.
If I went up to my neighbor's house and he canned me pork rinds for Halloween treat, I would definitely TP that guy's house. It's like, dude, get a freaking clue. I'm here for candy, not your stinking pork.
Hey, we're just happy we don't get given potatoes.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Satsumas.
No, that's Christmas. We get those.
Oh wow. God, Richard, get us out of here.
I take it we're not going to bother with any shout outs apart from obviously Sterling's premiere tonight. What time is that again, Sterling?
7 p.m. Eastern time.
7 p.m. Eastern, that would be midnight UK time or 11 o'clock UK time.
11 o'clock, because you moved your clocks back. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very cool.
But awesome then. Well, I can't believe 20 people managed to notice that in their subscription feeds that we were going to be gobbing off tonight for an hour. But thanks for listening, everyone that's listening. Those that aren't, we'll see what we like about you, as always. And we're back on Sunday.
Yeah.
As normal. So if you're listening, then come back on Sunday and find out what us Muppets will be gabbling on about as per usual. Kirsty. Right, we'll see you all later then.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
See ya.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.